everybody. It is Wednesday. If I'm here and you're here, it must be Wednesday, where we talk about all kinds of things here at Engagement that tickle me. But right now we're talking about wedding stuff. If you're getting married, or if you know someone who's getting married, I welcome you to Engagement. So, as you may or may not know, I am a wedding officiant. I'm also a certified planner. And people ask me all the time, so Doug, you're an officiant. You have a channel called Engagement. Is it for those people that are engaged? And, normally, most of the year it's not. It's about engaging with people, which is what the dictionary says. Have a conversation, have a meet, have a talk. But sometimes, 3 times so far this last 3 years, so annually, it is actually about weddings, and it's about couples, and it's about meeting professionals that can make your day extra special, more magical, help you plan. And that's where we're at right now. This is season, if you can believe it, season 7, episode 2. And today we're going to be talking about a wedding photographer. I got to tell you, this whole series has gotten a lot larger. It's going to go a lot longer than it has before. In the past, it was 3 episodes, 6 professionals. And we're going to extrapolate that because weddings have just taken on an entire new being of themselves. So we have a few extra people in the field, a few extra photographers, a few extra planners, a few extra venues, just so you have some selection. And these are all quality people. And I'm really thrilled today to have a very concentrated conversation with one of the greatest photographers I know. And I know a handful of photographers, and that is Chad Berry. Chad is a phenomenal guy, a great photographer, and a really solid human being. So let's get him in here. Let's get down to the conversation. Chad.
Hi, Doug. How are you? I'm good, thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me.
I meant every word I just said. You are a solid individual.
I'm blushing. I have to change my color balance a little bit here.
Well, you know about color balance. I've watched you even on your iPhone edit photos before you post them. So of just random stuff. So yeah, you are. I know a lot of photographers, and I have a photography background myself, and I'm happy to have you on and a few other photographers that will be also traipsing through this sort of venue for people to get to find their pros at this kind of expo. Cool. So let's get started. What do you like? I know your history, but the folks out there don't know your history. So tell me
Sure.
a bit about how this happened, how you got to be here, and what's your philosophy around photography and the whole.
Yeah. So I got into photography about I've always had a camera. Even when I was younger, as a teenager and stuff, I always had some sort of camera, not a professional camera, just something to shoot some pictures with friends and stuff like that. And never took it very seriously till about 11 years ago. And a friend of mine invited me, invited my wife at the time, or girlfriend at the time, who became my wife, to the camera club in Chatham to be a model for a presentation that they were doing. And I fell in love with the group and the people and everything about photography at that time. So I went home and spent a whole bunch of money. And then a couple months later, I spent a whole bunch more money. And most of my photography at the time was based on wildlife and photography, landscape photography. Loved getting up to Algonquin Park. Actually, if I just shift the camera up here, you can see there's one of my
beautiful
pictures there that was actually in Canadian Geographic.
Wow.
I fell in love with being out and reconnecting with nature, and the camera was kind of my mechanism to do that. That was what attached me. And over time, I started shooting a little bit of family stuff, started shooting some portraits, and I found that I loved, because I love connecting with people, I love connecting with humans and the human element. I loved it just as much as my wildlife and nature. So I just continued down that road and shot my first wedding in 2013 with a friend. I was a second shooter. And a couple years later, when I decided to turn this into a full-time gig, I had, like looking at how I'm going to do this and how I'm going to make everything come together. And weddings was a big part of that. So I teach workshops, I do weddings, I do commercial work, but I love shooting weddings. It's not for every photographer out there.
That's true.
It's high pressure. There's a
Yeah.
lot going on, but I absolutely love it. I love every minute of it. It's a fun experience.
Yeah. Do you remember your first camera?
My first um, DSLR camera, like with interchangeable
Yeah.
lens, was a Canon XSI.
Yeah.
It was not fancy. It took pictures.
Mhm. I had a Pentax 1000
Oh,
talking
wow.
C41 film. So when I would take pictures at high pressure events like a wedding, typically they were in churches because weddings were always in the church. Now only 5% of weddings happen in a church. But I would be in the back pew during the prayers praying that my photos turned out. now you just push a button, you can see what you got.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
times have really changed. So I want to show the folks some of the great work that you do now.
Sure.
Typically, when people get engaged, there's all that excitement, and I love the fact that you have captured that. So for engagement photos, I mean, even the engagement moment right here,
Yeah.
I love that. To capture that and have that, as a permanent photograph memory that you have to share, you can post, or you keep to yourself. It's just a phenomenal thing that you have done to catch people's moment, whether it's spontaneous like that one there, or it's planned like these ones here.
Mhm.
This is a gorgeous wooded shot. This I love this laugh. I mean, to capture the moment, and to capture the feeling, the effervescence, as I like to call it. That's a bonus for you, right?
It's a bonus, and it's actually very purposeful for me. Um, I I do stage shots when I need to. I'll do pose shots on wedding day and even on engagements and stuff. And every client has a different level of need, but I much rather put people into a situation where they're going to respond to each other very naturally, and I try to capture that. So those that laughter, I didn't say, hey, let's put on some laughter now. I
Yeah,
just left them there for a few minutes and
yeah,
let it get a little bit awkward at first, and then get a little bit fun, and maybe throw a joke in here and there, and let them just be themselves and enjoy each other and capture that. Because I think there's a greater level of authenticity there.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have to have some post. I mean, you can't just, it's
Yeah.
not all candid, it's not all perfect. I mean, when you look at and people want to have a high quality end product at the end of the day, so they have something to remember and something to be proud of. And this is, I mean, one of the pre-photos, right, of everyone getting ready, which are still it's very much a ritual, getting, dressed and ready, and with your people, with your posse. This one here is one of my favorites.
Oh, yes.
Gorgeous,
Yeah.
just it's flawless, really. It, great job on that.
Thank you. No, that was fun. I'm always
Uh-huh.
I I'm always looking for, like you said, it's a tradition. It's part of the day,
Yeah.
right? And you're going to be doing those getting ready photos. So you capture all the candid moments and stuff, but you try to also capture just a couple moments that are maybe a little unexpected.
Mm,
Find a different angle. In this case, I had a triple mirror. It was begging for this shot, and she was a
absolutely.
gorgeous bride. So
Absolutely. And I love this one here with the guys.
yeah. Again, just trying to find something unique. There's so many shots out there. You start Googling shots of the bridesman's gift or groomsman's gift, the groomsman's watches and stuff. And, it's mostly just pictures of them sitting in the boxes,
Yeah.
or them, just doing that little shot, putting it on or something like that. But just trying to find another unique angle, just
Yeah.
another way to show it.
I mean, photography has come a long ways when it comes to wedding photography. There's seminars and classes you can take to find out how to shoot it, in your style, and you have your own style, and that's why on this show, where I haven't done before, I'm featuring at least 3 different photographers, and each of those photographers have their own style. You, Chad Berry, in my opinion, your style is excellent. It's well composed. But when I look at this photo here, which I'm re-showing, I
Mhm.
think this speaks to me about Chad Berry, because you are very much nature,
Oh yeah.
and how nature and human can come together. So and maybe that's not a bride and groom style or a couple style. Maybe
No,
that's
absolutely.
right. We don't fit everyone. Like when I do weddings, I tell people I may not be your guy. I may not be your person. I have a sensitive heart, but a light heart about
Yeah.
what I do, and I try to keep it light and friendly, because your service is such an important, intimate moment that you're sharing with so many people, and that
I,
there may be a need for a giggle or a laugh to keep it lighthearted, because they're
absolutely.
nervous, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I
So
think you're right on. You're spot on with that, with different styles, and I think that goes with every vendor that you're going to hire on your wedding day. I always encourage my clients to meet with their vendors ahead of time, and don't just look at the style of their photos or their price tag, but make sure that you find somebody that you connect with and you get along with. You got to build a rapport with that person, because you're going to spend a fair bit of time with them on that wedding day,
yeah,
and it should feel a little bit more like you've got a friend there
yeah.
than just they hired help kind of thing.
You nailed it. What people don't realize, especially if you've never been in a wedding party or been married, or is that you need to have a vendor who's like a friend, who's
Mhm.
going to give direction. I know you tell people where to stand, what to do, how to pose, and if that bothers you, you may not like your style. I myself, I tell all of my couples that I'm in charge of everything from the processional to the recessional, so coming in and leaving, and I'm going to direct it. I'm going to tell you, to hand your flowers off, and if being told rubs you the wrong way on that very special day, I may not be the guy for you,
Yeah,
but I'm going to make sure that yeah, the groom is moved in, or the person waiting down front is moved in, so that your photographer can get a great shot. I'm going to make sure that you are in line where you need to be, so you can receive your new spouse.
that's
Um,
why I love working with you.
well, because I've done your job, I know what it's like to be be at the very back pew trying to get a good shot. But it's and taking direction isn't for everyone. Some resonate well with it, some don't.
Mhm.
Some people really crave that. They love to be told by their wedding planner, their photographer, and the officiant what to do, where to go, and because they've never done it before, and it gives them a certain level of comfort knowing that we've done a lot of weddings.
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah. Um, this photograph here, I want to see. I'm gonna come back. This one is. I'm going to show you my favorite in a minute. We're also, as wedding pros, very involved in what's going on, like this. Like, look at this guy. He's in here not only taking pictures, but he's. We
Yep,
all we've all learned in this industry how to put a corsage on properly, right?
absolutely.
It's the side pin and the up pin down.
Yep.
So you
And
hop
then you
in
don't
there,
get any blood on the shirts.
right? Exactly.
and
Or
you and
get
they're all at the
poked.
same level. They're not like this in
Yeah,
the photos.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or you get poked when you give someone a big hug. So um great shots like this that are obviously posed for a reason. You want the structure, you want the how it should look, the to compose it, but also great photos like this that are just that moment where you can almost expect what she's saying to him at this moment, like, we finally did it, we're done, we're married. This also very impactful, very perfectly blurred on one side so that she's focused on the other, and the veil sort of I really should call it a veil dance for the photographer, as opposed to the actual veil portion of the wedding itself, ceremony. But yeah, you really capture people's moments. A lot of new, I want to say, new style, new tech photos like this are definitely in your wheelhouse. I love the night shots on streets, in public spaces, that are just phenomenal. You want to talk about this one here? This is gorgeous.
Yeah, sure. So this was Windsor. We were it was nighttime. We've got that flag down at the end. And it's not uncommon for me to step out into traffic, sometimes stopping traffic, other times just bobbing and weaving between. Trying to, usually this is good when I have a second shooter to kind of watch my back. But I love, it's nice to get a shot where you have, it's just everything is deleted from the scene. It's just the bride and groom, and that's all the focus. But in this shot, you've got like the car coming down and everything. And I thought that, I had a number of frames there, but I thought this was great. The car actually added an element, it added those lights and stuff in there. And there's just, it's obviously about the bride and the groom, but there's a lot of other stuff in here. And it just happens that the kind of the lens flare I've got it there at the top kind of looks like a couple of wedding rings at the same time. So
yeah,
very deliberately chosen, but this was a lot of fun, beautiful bride and groom, and they were up for having a little adventure at night. So we did it.
I love it. It's great. And then more of the also newfangled new wave of this. A lot of DJs are bringing in smoke systems and fuzz, and to capture that and look like they're dancing on a cloud is also just a great image to have. You want to talk about this one as well?
Yeah, sure. So exactly what you said. The DJ's got his smoke machine there, so we can kind of push a little bit up. It's good if you have a photographer. This is maybe one of those questions that you ask your photographer or you'll see in their work. But off-camera flash, this photo wasn't possible unless I had a flash behind them on a stand to be able to light up all that smoke, but also have a flash in front of them to light them up. So it is technical, but and you can see over in the side, you've got the little girl leaning into her dad or her uncle or somebody there. And I like still keeping some of those elements again, because it's just they're part of the story. This photo would be great with just them, but I try to capture everybody at a wedding. If you've invited them, they were important to you in your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you got them down to your 100 or your 300 or your 500 favorite friends, you said no to some people. You crossed some people out off the list and didn't invite them. So the people that are there are important. So I try to include them in ways in the photos too. So
that's very true. Very true. Yeah, I always tell couples all the time, during COVID, I mean, you really had to pare it down, right? Where you have maybe 10 people, 10 of the most important people around you, or when we do elopements. And I work with a lot of photographers on elopements where it's just, it's a surprise. We're going to go off and get married, but we want to capture something. And you have, your new spouse and two other people, and that's it. And I mean, to boil it down to two of the most important people in your life is a pretty daunting task, right?
Yeah,
because you're going to piss some people off.
absolutely.
So this is also a great one too. A lot of fun,
yes.
Candid, but fun.
Yeah. So this is actually up in Ottawa. This is and this location was fantastic, just gorgeous architecture everywhere. And I mean, because I come from a landscape background, I always looking for like these leading lines and stuff. The railings there bringing you into the shot. Put the bride and the groom in the middle, and this started off as a pose shot, and all lined up. Get the card stack, get your traditional stuff out of the way, and then I said, let's just have fun with it. Right. So I said, you guys kiss, everybody else react. Right. Yep. And this was a fantastic group. I think if you've got to you got to read every group that you're working with. But when you've got a group that's willing to, stick their fingers in their mouth and stuff, they were a ton of fun. Right?
Yeah.
And actually I was fortunate enough to be able to go and photograph the sister's wedding in Quebec this past year. So yeah, it's nice when you get to come back and on the bride side, they were so I think there was 5 or 6 bridesmaids. Only one of them was not at the second wedding.
Wow.
So, yeah, because they were twins.
Wow. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What people don't realize is that wedding pros, like you and I, we have to connect. I think it's a special gift to be able to connect with people real quick, because again, you're getting that kind of look from them, and getting, instant trust that they're going to, that you're going to capture the moment, whether it's, saying I do from my job or catching the photos from your job. We make relationships really fast with people, that lasts a long time, and you're fortunate to get called back to extend that relationship
Mhm.
for other weddings or other events, or family photos or bar mitzvahs or what have you, right? So uh, we are in the business of making relationships, and if you talk to a pro that you don't feel connected to,
Yeah.
no matter how hard you try, you're not going to get that kind of moment, that kind of result. So
Yeah, you
it's
can't fake it.
important. No,
No.
you can pick a lot of things, but you can't fake that. So now I want to talk about and you don't have a list of questions. I don't. It's just two buddies having a talk.
Mm.
But you do a lot of work outside of Chatham Kent.
Yes.
We need to get you more Chatham Kent brides.
I would love to stay home and get to bed by
Right?
10:30.
Right? Because you're in Ottawa, Quebec, you're in Windsor a lot. I see
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah, I shoot
your
a lot in
Windsor
Windsor.
work. But we have a great talent right here in our own town that
We do.
everyone else is spying our talent and moving you away. And people don't realize you need to book, those professionals in advance,
Mhm.
because, there's only one of you for weddings. There's only one. A lot of venues can only do one wedding at a time. I'm fortunate that I don't stick around for receptions, because I'd be probably at the bar too long, and problems happen from that. But I'm fortunate in this industry to be able to, leave your wedding and go do another completely tailored, customized wedding, an hour later, and then another one after that that's completely customized and
Mhm.
different again. But when you have a photographer who's there the entire day, like, you got to get on that booking real quick, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I would recommend that anybody. It's you've got to look at your full day, one a day vendors first, right? So you need to get a venue and a date, and
Uh-huh.
then you need to get yourself a caterer, and you need to get a photographer. Then you start looking at things like the DJs and stuff like that. Because there's only one of us. I
Yep.
can only book one that day, and for the most part, I will only book one for a weekend.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I'll do a double header, but I prefer to just do one a weekend. So, and a lot of photographers are like that. So we're limited. So
Yeah.
you definitely want to find you want to start that search early.
Yeah. So through this series, all of the guests that are on here, all the pros that are on this expo, we're taking a lot of their advice, and we're putting it into an actual sort of new guide for wedding planning. And I have to tell you, this is partially selfish. So if you saw the first episode, you saw one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because, and no disrespect to our florists and cake makers and people that make favors, but to have your officiant below some of those needs,
Right.
uh we Dougie here is trying to get them bumped up, because
Sure.
again, even though I can do 3 a day, that doesn't mean that there's 2 o'clock p.m. that
No,
happens
exactly.
twice a Saturday. So but yeah, just so if you're on this series, you'll be seeing a guide come out that you'll be able to download to help you find sort of the planning that in your neck of the woods. So speaking of planning,
Mhm.
we are doing a little series that where we get some pro tips. So
Sure.
I'm going to give you a second to give it a thought, and we'll have a pro tip right after this. So our pro tip and this series, the pros for your expo, is actually brought to you by With This Ring, which is an officiating company that I have, because we want you to have the day of your life, and their philosophy has always been your day, your way. But in order to make it a special day, some tips need to be had. So Chad, do you have any tips for us when it comes to planning your wedding, when it comes to photography or the day?
Yeah, sure. So okay, so I'm gonna, if I can indulge, I'll do three.
Absolutely.
One is work with your photographer on the schedule from day one. Right, when I do my initial consult, we walk through the entire day with all of our clients just to see how much time we are able to allot for every little piece that needs to be covered. So if getting ready is important to you, I need a certain amount of time to make that happen. Right, if you're going to do a first look, we've got to book that into your day. We need to know when that's going to occur. Ultimately, wedding days, there's a lot of chaos. Some things can start running behind, and you need to have those little buffers and stuff built in. And sometimes we don't talk for a couple months because this might be a 2-year process that you're in planning. And if you have those little blocks and your photographer needs 2 hours for this segment or an hour and a half for that segment, if you've got to make some major changes and stuff, you can have that stuff in mind and keep that going so that you still get all of the stuff that was important to you from day one. So that's one from the photography standpoint. Two, and this is something I recommend to all my couples because weddings can be really stressful and you've got a lot of influences coming at you. You've got moms and dads that want you to do stuff. You've got Aunt Gertrude, everybody. You've got Martha Stewart telling you this is the way a wedding should look. Mm-hmm. And those traditions may be important to you. They may not be important to you. And I try to coach my clients to take a look at themselves and say, what is important to me? What are my values? What makes us us? What makes us unique? And include those things in your wedding day. Find some way to make it, to tailor it to you, and it will just be that much more special. Mm-hmm. And tip number 3, I would say, and this one is a hard one because there's so many demands on your time during the day. But if you can, after the ceremony and after, family pics and the creative session, or whatever, between the ceremony and your reception, during that cocktail hour or something, find 15, 20 minutes, half hour, if you can find it, to just spend time together as a married couple. You've been at it since 4 a.m, hair, makeup, everything all day long. And you just said, I do. Yeah. Doug's been up there and he's made you laugh a few times and you've said your vows and it's official now. You are married. You are no longer boyfriend and girlfriend. You are no longer fiancés. You are a legal married entity. Yeah. You are a union. So spending some time to be together and just feeling what that feels like and not having the pressure of everybody around you for a minute and just being able to go, absolutely, and say I love you and just mean it and not have any of it scripted. That is a wonderful thing. So if you can find it in your day, put that in there. You'll love it.
That's awesome. 3 tips from Chad Berry. That I'm not even going to give a tip because you gave 3 phenomenal tips, buddy.
Also on that one, even though you want to be alone, if you want your photographer to capture a portion of that,
sure,
they can just sneak in, sneak out nice and quiet and stuff. So there might be some opportunities there too.
It's really important to have that moment. I tell couples all the time that one of my rules is that when you get down front, I will have talked to your DJ. Pro tip: get a DJ. Right, because they understand
they will make the night fun.
Well, and the pre portion, when I walk into this is one of the tips I'll be giving later, but I'll give it now as well. Is your DJ will help you set the tone, the mood. Yes. When we walk into a room with no sound, no music, it's dead, right? When they have a DJ there, they've got a little bit of music or cocktail music or something light and breezy and easy in the background. It helps people to be a little more relaxed.
Yes.
But more importantly, when you come down the aisle and you meet that significant other with your officiant Doug, your DJ will have been talked to by Doug and told, give me 30 seconds additional music once she stops strolling, because the 3 of us need to be a little more grounded. And
sure.
I want us all to have that moment where we inhale deeply and exhale completely, so that we can understand and remember what happens during the service. And it slows your heart down. It rounds your shoulders a little bit more. It just makes that commitment, which is what it is, a little more significant and memorable, because you're going to wake up the next morning, you're going to remember what happened. Whereas if we race right through it, down the aisle, bam, 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 out you
Boom,
go.
boom.
They wake up the next morning going, what the hell happened?
Why is my hand so heavy?
Yeah, what's going on here?
I love that philosophy.
Yeah. So this is why you work with pros. And this is why I love working with Chad, because Chad makes it good. And you're not in the way. You're not, you're capturing this like a fly on the wall, right? So
it's you. I think that's important. Is even if I it depends on my couple and how much they want me there in their space. Some people want that, make sure you get the ring going on shot. So I might have to get up tight and close and get a couple of snaps, but I do that. I'm in, snap, 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 and I'm out. I'm dropped to a knee. I'm getting out of the way so that your audience, your family and your friends that are there to witness it can still be part of that. So yeah, it's you're trying to keep out of the way and use a telephoto lens when I need to keep back and just knowing when the moments are anticipating when the moments are going to happen is a big part of it. So.
Very true. Very true. Well, as always, it's great to talk to you. You're a consummate professional, and you make it so much easier for couples. And, thank you for capturing such great moments and photos and being creative as you are. I tell everyone, find someone who works with you well, because it'll serve you for the long term. So thank you very much, Chad, for coming on. I really appreciate you taking time to
you're welcome.
Come and talk about what you do. And we're going to get some of your images and some of your content, and we're going to make sure people have a way to find you as well.
Sure.
So thank you very much.
Good.
And thank you. We'll see you next Wednesday here on Engagement. Thank you.